Trying to get everything set up here. This is It's Getting Better All the Time Mental Health Outreach with your host, Sister Ayla Green. You can find out more about us by logging onto our website at igbatt.com. Again, this is It's Getting Better All the Time Mental Health Outreach. You can find out more about us by logging onto our website at igbatt.com. You can also write us at Post Office Box 7432, Silver Spring, Maryland 20910, or email us at igbatt1@AOL.com. And again, thank you for joining us. Again, this is It's Getting Better All the Time Mental Health Outreach with your host, Sister Ayla Green. You can find out more about us by logging onto our website. Again, today I wanted to talk about, this is really dedicated to many people who are watching this, who are working in high stress jobs, high stress professions, professions where you already know that you're going to be, carries a lot of stress. There are some jobs that, you know, it's stressful at times, and then there are some jobs that are just stressful, and you can't change the job. You know, there are only so many ways that you can make being a helicopter pilot less stressful, or being a pilot for American Airlines less stressful. Okay, there's only so many ways you can make being a surgeon less stressful, or being a medical doctor. You know, there are some jobs, they are what they are, and it's really important that as we go into these jobs, it's okay. It's important for us to be honest about where we are, and it takes a while to get to that point. There are, you know, sometimes you can't just walk away. It's different if you've been, let's say, on a stress-filled job for a long period of time, and then you're having a bad day, or something happens, like the pandemic happened, and then you're under stress for 2 years, but you're still at your baseline, you're still okay for the job. But there are some times in our lives where things change, where we may have started out saying that I may want to be, you know, a surgeon. I wanted to be a pastor. I wanted to be a pastor and pastor, you know, thousands of people. Or I wanted to be a tennis player or a sports person, right? But now that you're into it, you realize it's not really the stress of it is not what you can handle at this point, and it's okay to walk away. Even when I made that statement, it's not what you can handle. You know, people will see that as a negative thing, and it's not necessarily a negative thing. It's an honest thing. There are many people who get to the point where they die by suicide, right? I know some pastors I've heard about who've done that. I've known people who've done that. But in the case, you know, whenever there's a pastor, I use that for an example, people will say, oh, you know, talk about the stress of the job. But when you look at it, this individual had a history of mental illness. This person had a history of mental symptoms. Something was going on with this individual, but instead of stepping away, they continued to keep doing the work. You know, I applaud Naomi, who is a famous professional tennis player who, for her mental health, stepped away for a period of time. And I think that's great. That's what you have to do. Sometimes you have to step away, and you don't have to rush to come back. You know, some pastors have stepped away, and again, I think that's a good thing as well too. Is that you're stepping away because of your mental health. It's like, for example, if you have, and I always like using this this particular diagnosis. If I'm diagnosed with diabetes, right, there may be times where I'm going to have to make some changes in my diet. I'm going to have to make some changes in, I'm going to have to exercise more. I'm going to have to eat certain foods or stay away from certain foods. It doesn't make me weak because I can't eat certain foods. It makes me smart. It doesn't make you weak when you get to the point where you realize, hey, I'm going to have to step away from this. Because if I don't step away from this, it's going to continue to wear on me. What keeps a person doing a job, whether it's a sports athlete, a pastor, a surgeon, or whatever the case is, what keeps a person continually doing a job that they're no longer mentally able to do is pride. Of course, sometimes it's money, but sometimes it's pride, embarrassment. I don't want to walk away. I'm afraid. I'm concerned about what other people might think about me. And I'm saying to you today is this: care less about what other people think about you. If you know that you're dealing with, it's like, for example, if I know I have a really bad shellfish allergy, I'm not going to eat shellfish, right? If I know I have a really bad, I don't know, what other kind of allergy that I have, then I'm not going to be around that certain thing that would trigger my allergy. It's the same thing. Sometimes you were a great basketball player, but the stress now is getting to you. You may need to step away. You may need to say, this is no longer what I want to do anymore, because I have to step away from my mental health, right? What we try to do, we want to try to control the environment. And to a certain extent, if you can do that, that's fine. But that only lasts but for so long. Because if on the inside, I'm really struggling on the inside to make this work, right, that means I'm already under stress. I'm already struggling to deal with this issue that's going on the inside of me. I want everyone else around me to kind of to be nice to me. I want everyone around me to be quiet. I want everyone around me to tiptoe. People got to watch what they say, what they don't say, and to a certain extent that's fine. But that's not where your power is, because the power, it comes in me dealing with me. I have to look at me and make some changes within myself, because the environmental changes are only going to be good for as long as I'm in that environment. Okay, I leave this particular environment, this particular church, and then I go to this particular church. The stress is still going to be there, because being a pastor is stressful. There's stress that's inherent in the particular job. There's stress that goes along with being a professional athlete. There's stress that's in the job. There are things that go along with the job. There's stress that goes along with being a surgeon. And I'm just trying to name some of the ones that we can all agree that's pretty stressful. A pilot. Right? There's stress that goes along with that. The stress is inherent in the job, especially anytime you're in a position where you're the only person, where everybody's counting on you. That's stressful. Okay, it goes with the job. Right? Yeah, you can make some changes. Again, you can come in late. You can leave early. You can hire nice people. You can do certain things. But at some point, that's only going to last but for so long. Because the issue is not just the situation. The issue is what's going on within you. The issue is what's going on within me. And I may have to realize that there's a point now where I have to step away. Okay? I can't make everyone else, the entire airline system, change because I'm having, I don't want to say a bad day, because I'm dealing with some mental health issues. I may have to step away, get some help, and come back, or I may have to step away and say, this is it. Okay? And if you get into that point, you want to begin to plan. It's okay to say that. This no longer fits me anymore. I have to pay attention to my mental health. I have to think about my long-term future. I don't want to be all stressed out. I don't want to be all extra anxious. I don't want to be this person, right? And you might want to begin to develop a plan. You might want to begin to look at 501ks. You might want to begin to start saving some money. You might want to begin to doing other things, saving to prepare your exit. Some of you may need to start coming up with an exit plan. Well, I'm only 25. You may need to come up with an exit plan, because this is no longer working for you anymore. When things start to get on your nerves, so to speak, and things start to trigger you more often than not, then that means there was something that was already there that was unresolved, that was just never dealt with. And you might have to say, okay, I need to do something with it. You ever see people, something happens, and in your mind it wasn't that serious, but they go through a 10. Why did she step on my feet? Why did she step on my feet? And you look, lady, it was just an accident. Sometimes that happens with us, right? Because we're already on edge. We're already stressed out. We're already dealing with anxiety. And we're struggling. Some of you are struggling when you don't need to struggle. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. You don't need to struggle. from a biblical standpoint, God has given us all things pertaining to life and godliness. He has come that we might have life and life more abundantly. Okay? And that includes you. Even if you tell me, well, I don't believe in God, He believes in you. He believes in you till you get to the point where you can begin to see Him for who He is. Right? The point being is that you have a God who loves you. No one has to be struggling. Right? What worked in one season of your life may not work in another. What worked, you used to be a wonderful, great basketball player, and you still are, but mentally, things are not there. And I'm sorry, I wanted to read this, the stress vulnerability model. And I'm reading it, this is coming from the American Psychological Association Dictionary. The American Psychological Association Dictionary of Psychology defines the stress vulnerability model as a theory that a genetic or biological predisposition to certain mental disorders exists, and psychological and social factors can increase the likelihood of symptomatic episodes. Okay? So again, what we're saying is a person may have a genetic or a biological predisposition, and they can be fine. But when they get around certain stresses within the environment, then you start seeing the person to trigger. Many times you may have been fine when you were practicing basketball. You may have been, practicing. You may have been fine in this one particular hospital where everybody knew you. You may have been fine at this particular point in your life. But now the environment has changed. Everything around you has changed, which is requiring you to change. And when you start, when those things start happening, you start seeing the cracks, right? So if you were already on edge, you were already right below the threshold, so to speak, you were already an anxious person by personality-wise. You were already a person that was easily stressed out. You was already a person that was prone to depressive episodes or mania or whatever the case is. You were already there, but you were fine because you were in the right environment. You were in an environment where people loved you. You were in an environment where you knew the job, you knew what was required. You can do the job at with your eyes closed, and you can do everything no problem. But now the company has changed. Now the CEO has changed. Now we're in 2022. Things have changed. Now people who used to be nice are no longer nice. Just like you're under stress, everybody's under stress. And what we're seeing now, a lot of people becoming more anxious, more meaner, more aggressive, just as a whole. So things have changed. So now that they've changed, in one situation you were right on the edge, you were fine. But now things are changing, you start seeing symptoms start to manifest. Again, you do not need to struggle. You know what's going on the inside of you. You know it's always been hard for you to psych yourself up. You know you've always been an anxious person, personality-wise. You know you've always been a worrywart. By nature, you're a person that gets stressed out easily. Okay, by nature, this is who you are. So now you take your personality, and now you put it with a job that is already stressful. What do you think is going to happen? Over a period of time, you may do well. For a certain period of time, but over a period of time you start seeing the changes. Pastor, the problem is not the members. Okay, well, sometimes maybe some of the members, but for the most part, it's not the members, because remember, you dealt with that same type of person at your last job. You dealt with that same type of person at your last game, your last basketball game. Same type of person. The person didn't change. You changed. Something is going on with you, right? So in one season, you can handle it. Now you no longer handle it. You can say, well, I'm just not going to put up with that anymore. And that's true. You shouldn't put up with it. But the question is, why did you put up with it before, and what's different now? Well, I've grown now. Okay, that's great. But is it realistic? Is it realistic, American airline pilot, to think that, your plane is always going to be on time? That your plane is always going to leave on time? Is that realistic? Okay. How many times in your 15 years of being an airline pilot that your plane, when it's on the runway, has left on time? Now, it never has, or very often, well, sometimes. from a passenger side of fence, but for you being an airline pilot. My point being is there were things that happened that's inherent in the job that you were able to deal with. Now you're starting to snap. Now you're irritated. Now you're getting anxious. Now you're worried. Now you can't sleep, or you're sleeping too much, or you're eating too much, eating too little. Now you start seeing changes. Now you're becoming depressed. Now you're becoming worried. Worried and anxious and cynical. Now things are starting to change for you, Pastor. Now you no longer enjoy the game, Mr. Basketball player or professional athlete. You no longer enjoy the game. The same people that you used to love now get on your nerves. Okay? You might need to be honest with yourself and say, I might need to step away. I need to look at this. And we need to take a look at it, because many times the problem really, and it's not so much a problem, it's just a change. Things change. We don't need to stay doing one thing for 50 years. You may need to make a change. As I said before, many pastors are coming to the realization that this no longer works for them. And it has nothing to do with the members, because anytime you give yourself to people, if you're in the people business, people are going to try you. And if you don't understand that, then you should never have got into the people business. But people are going to do that. People are going to try you. People are people. They're going to bring their challenges. They're going to bring their frustration. They're going to bring their irritability. That's what they do, Mr. Police Officer. That's what they do, Miss Teacher. Right? This is what they do. So you have to decide, take a look at what's going on with me. Why am I more irritable now? Why am I more, I get more upset, easily? Why am I more frustrated? Take a look at your symptoms and what's going on with you. Are you under stress? Sometimes you're under stress, and it could boil down to me making some changes. Like I talked about before, some of the things that you can do when you're under stress is, take breaks, is maybe make a job change, an office change. Or it could be, I'm talking to someone, talking to your pastor. It could be exercising. It could be whenever you go out on your break, make sure you take a break, you're not taking the work with you. But the biggest thing, the thing that pays the most dividends, is changing how you think. What are you telling yourself? Thoughts, feelings, and behaviors go together. What are you saying to yourself? What are you saying to yourself about the job? What are you saying to yourself about yourself? Are you just doing this work because you don't have anything else to do? There are some pastors, you're pastoring because you never did anything else, right? So you're stuck, and now you're frustrated and irritated because you're doing something that you need to stop doing, right? You never went to school, you never really worked in a job. Right? This is all you know. So now you're upset, and like I said, upset and irritable. But what is it doing for you? We don't need a martyr. Jesus Christ has already died so that we might have life. We don't need you, Pastor, to talk about you struggling for the members. The members will leave if you die. I don't care who you are, whether you're a professional athlete, a mother, father, airplane pilot, whatever the case is. If you were to drop dead because of your stress, we would continue to keep going. We would mourn you. You see the great, wonderful funerals that people have on TV, but time will go on after a period of time. After about a month, 2 months, someone else will come in. Matter of fact, it won't even be that long. If someone else will come in, will take your place. Another surgeon will take your place. Another pastor, we'll talk nice about you for a season, but when that new pastor gets in, then that'll be all over. You right now, you're the best sports person, you're the best sports athlete, you're the best entertainer. Please, okay? People come and go, just like the tide goes in and out. If you're no longer in the scene, somebody else will take your place, and we'll be saying how great that person is, and we won't even remember you, right? So the thing is, what am I saying? You have to take care of yourself. You have to take a look at what's going on with you. And that's so important. You have to do a self-evaluation. Where am I right now? Again, the dividends are not, you don't get a whole bunch of dividends focusing on what other people are doing and what they're not doing. You don't get a lot of dividends for, throwing a person out of the arena because they said something that you didn't like. I think it's great to do that, but I'm just saying that's really not the issue. The issue is, why did it shake you? right? What is going on with you, Pastor? You know how members are. They always do. They always come late. Some, they fight. They do all of this. This is what they do, okay? Why now? What is going on with you? Again, it's real easy to focus on what's going on. Oh, this air, I'm sick of this air, working for this this company, okay? American Airlines, Delta, they always da 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 da. You're right, they've always done it. So what's different with you? I'm sick of this hospital, I'm sick of these patients, they just lying, they're always saying this. From what I understand from doctors, patients always lie. Patients don't ever tell their doctors the truth. So what's different now? What's going on with you? Listen to your self-talk. Listen to the things that you're saying to yourself, right? What hurts? You know, what are you complaining about? What's causing you to be irritated? What's keeping you worried? What's keeping you anxious, right? And begin to write those things down. Write those things down and begin to develop and see what you can do about it. Don't just say things. Don't just, let worry take over your mind. Don't perseverate about what somebody said about you, or how that makes you feel. Of course it hurts. What I'm saying is, what's going on with you? Okay, number one, what are your symptoms? What are your stress symptoms? What are your anxiety symptoms? As I said before, are you worrying more? Are you perseverating more? Are you more triggered easily? Are you listening to what people are saying? Some people, you're so triggered, you're not even listening to what people are saying. You're listening to what you think people are saying. You're listening to what someone is saying based on what happened to you 20 years ago. What's going on with you? Look at your appetite. Are you eating too much, eating too little? Are you eating the right foods? Are you exercising more? Where are you spiritually? You used to love reading the Word and praying and fasting. You're no longer doing that. What are the changes that's happening in your life? Okay, what's going on? How is stress? What are your stressors? What are the problems, the points that hurt? And then how is it impacting you? Because stress, on a long period of time, if we let it go unchecked, it can cause a whole lot of different problems for us. Stress, you can see it in our psychologically, emotionally, spiritually. We can start seeing changes. You can start feeling tense here. Okay, it can lead to ulcers or trigger ulcers. So there's a lot of different things that we can do. I started out by reading the stress vulnerability model because I really wanted to go into severe mental illness. But I think I kind of got stuck just talking about stress in general. But the stress vulnerability model is still important because there are many of us, our brothers and sisters, who are doing things. Yes, you're a professional athlete. Yes, you're a professional pastor. Yes, you're an airline pilot. Yes, you're a surgeon, all these different things. But you have an untreated or poorly diagnosed mental illness that you don't want to admit. Some of you don't want to admit. You don't want to admit there's something that's going on with you. And it doesn't mean that it's a severe mental illness or I don't know, but something is going on. Something is going on with you. Okay? But you don't want to admit it. So what happens is, because you have that predisposition that's already there, anything else that's in the environment triggers it. And that's what I'm saying. The point, another point I wanted to make. But the main point I wanted to make is okay to walk away. I think that's what I want to leave you with. There are too many people who are struggling, and you don't have to struggle. You don't have to struggle with your mental health. You don't have to struggle. You don't have to struggle with your mental health. You don't have to struggle to be something or because don't let pride get you in trouble. Pride will set you up. Pride will put you in a position where you become so depressed, you become so anxious, become so cynical, that now you start thinking about killing yourself or dying by suicide. Now you start thinking about, your life is worthless and people will be better off without you. Now you start thinking that, you can't do anything right. All of these negative thinking, all these negative feelings, negative behaviors. I'm here to tell you, you don't have to do that. You can step away. Pastor, find something else to do. You can step away because sometimes some of us are in jobs that we should have never been in to begin with. Some of you are in jobs that, because of your mental health, you should have never been in. Yes, you have the skill set, you have the gifting to do it, but you're mentally, you were never really suited for that particular job. You just did it. And now that you're in the job, you start to become even more and more anxious, even more and more upset, and it's starting to weigh on you even more. The problem is not just the environment. Yeah, we need to make changes in our environment. That's great. We also need to take a look at the changes that we need to make in ourselves. And for some of you, it means taking care of you means walking away. And walking away could be for a few weeks, a month, or it could be indefinitely. But some of you need to walk away. Some of you have been doing a certain job for so long that you don't know how to do anything else. Your job, what you do, is so tied to your identity. Pastor, surgeon, pilot. You think you are your job, but you're not your job. You are a person. And you need to find out who you are. You should find out what's going on, like I said, again, within you as an individual, and make appropriate changes. Don't let this job steal your mental health. Don't let this environment, people, kill you psychologically or emotionally. Take care of yourself. It's Getting Better All the Time Mental Health Outreach, providing information and support while encouraging hope and faith. You can find out more about us by logging on to our website at igbatt.com. And again, it's important to take care of yourself. I applaud people like Naomi who can walk away and say, hey, this is not working out for me. Sometimes when we walk away, we come back, and we may realize that things still are not right. It's okay to walk away again and to stay away. Because sometimes some of us just need new jobs, new hobbies, new environment, new people. Take care of yourself. It's Getting Better All the Time Mental Health Outreach. Pray. For those of you who pray, ask the Holy Spirit to lead and guide you, to give you some strategies, give you some tips. The Holy Spirit will strengthen you and lead you, but sometimes the strengthening and leading you that you need is in a different environment. Again, take care of yourself. God bless you.